welcome to Dunya Visions, a video podcast where we talk to ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things. In this episode, I talked to Lynn, an artist and the creator of the Instagram page, Shit You Really Need to Hear. I was trying to figure out if I could find out a little bit more about you, but I decided that actually the best thing to do is to let you kind of give us a little take of who you are.
Okay. Yeah. Oh God, where do I start?
That was my problem too. I was like, where do I start with this one? It's like, let Lynn just introduce herself and share exactly what she's all about. Yeah.
So I guess, from 0 to 18, I pretty much had a normal quote unquote life, I guess. And then, did the whole standard society's timeline of, going to university, then graduating. And then after I graduated, I traveled around Southeast Asia for a bit. And then after that, I was like, okay, cool, big old job. So I actually majored in fashion photography.
Mm-hmm.
And after my travels, I got an internship in London. I assisted a photographer in London. And then I was there for pretty much like 9 months. And then just like the work environment for me was, I guess, toxic, and it wasn't fulfilling me. It wasn't fulfilling my soul. So I was like, okay, cool, Korea. I love Korea. I love like the aesthetic, the fashion sense in South Korea. And at that time too, I was doing like my own shoots, and I was like, okay, I think it's time for me to just be independent, go to South Korea. It's always a country that I want to, take off the list kind of deal, and explore the creative scene.
Yeah.
That was like my plan. And then obviously with this whole pandemic, I guess it's been like a detour almost. I haven't been able to achieve the things that I wish I could have achieved, but that's okay, because obviously life will test us, right? Life will test us to see if we really want the things that we want to achieve. And right now it's a little, I guess, detour, if you want to call it, of life. And yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Yeah.
Wow. So how long have you been in Korea?
I've been in Korea for a year and March, April, May, June, like a year and a half, nearly a year and a half.
Oh wow, you're very, very new to Korea then.
Yeah, I am. I'm very, very new. Very, very new. Yeah.
And
Everybody says that.
I think part of it is because I don't often meet people that are new to Korea anymore. I've been here for just a little over 10 years now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I'm trying to think of like, when was the last time I met someone that just arrived or was even like just a year in? That it's probably maybe over a year ago.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh
Maybe before the
wow.
pandemic. That's the last time I met someone that's one of the reasons why it's been kind of hard to meet people is because I didn't think people were actually flying into Korea because of the pandemic and everything.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's affected everyone a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's that whole thing. We didn't expect this to happen, and I think for most people, I guess, it made people, I guess, take a step back on like what they're doing, and I guess it allowed them to find themselves more. For me anyway, it allowed me to, okay, cool, like, what's this teaching me? How can I evolve? What can I learn? And is, I guess, photography really something that I want to do? Yeah.
I was didn't realize this, but I first clicked on your profile on Instagram, and then I went to your YouTube channel, and then I realized just how many videos you've got on there. So what's been happening is that actually it just happened today. I've been watching only one video over and over and over and over again, but I
Mm.
didn't realize if I clicked on your actual, like, there's a list of videos. So photography is definitely your thing then, right?
Yeah, like photography and fashion is definitely my thing. Yeah, that's my
What
thing.
what brought you into that space?
Um, Funnily enough, like photography and just like the idea of a creative job, a creative career was not even in my vocabulary until I was like maybe 13, 14. Because you know, coming from an Asian background, like your parents do not want you to do that. Your parents, well, my parents and most Asian parents want you to be doctors, lawyers, and all that, right? And like I remember, like when I was in year 5, I remember telling my parents that, "Oh my god, mom and dad, I want to be a dentist, like uncle," right? And they were so hyped. They were so hyped that I wanted to consider dentistry as my career. And then I met a family friend who studied fashion design when I was like 13, 14. I was like, oh my God, her drawings were amazing. Like so much. It just excited me. And I was like, I think this is what I want to do. And that's when I started exploring more of like my creative side. And
Mhm.
pretty much disregarding and putting the idea of dentistry in the trash. Yeah,
So
that's when it all started.
one of the things that I love, I don't know if you know Jay Shetty.
I do. I love Jay Shetty.
Right, Jay Shetty, one of the videos that I've watched not so long ago, he says, from Asian parent, you are expected to be either a doctor or a lawyer or a failure. Those are the
Yeah.
only options. So how was your what was your parents' reaction when you told them you wanted to do, you want to go into the arts? Like that's big.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was
Like
their reaction?
I think they were just pretty much scared. And like I'm the only person in the family who has done something creative. Like all my cousins, my brothers and sisters, they've done like, you know, something in the medical field, something business, something like engineering or something like that, you know, like real degrees, real jobs, quote unquote. And like what I reflected on it now is like they were just scared
Yeah.
that I guess I wasn't going to be, you know, financially stable. And also, I think they were scared to tell people of what I was going to be because it was like a reflection on them.
Yes.
Because we'd go back to the Philippines. We live in the UK, and we'd go back to the Philippines like maybe every 2 or 3 years, depending on the situation. And as you know, everybody is like, oh, what's everybody doing? How's everyone? What's like Lynn? What's Eamon? You know, my brothers and sisters doing. And when I hear their conversations, it's like, who has the best kid? Who, who's doing the best degree? And my uncle and aunties are like, oh my god, yes, like, you know, Jay, he's gonna be a pilot, like Joy is gonna do biotech, you know, like all this. And you know, my brother then Eamon, he was gonna do chemistry, la la la. And they're like, oh, well, what's Lynn doing? What's she doing for her degree? And then I guess mom's just like, oh, you know, like photography, like yeah, photography. but Eamon's doing like chemistry, and just like disregards me. And I was just like, it made me so angry because it was just like, I know the reason why they do that is because they don't want people to think that, I guess they don't want people to think that, I guess they've, what's the right word, I guess they don't want people to think negatively of me. They don't want people to think, oh my god, is she gonna be okay? She's not gonna do something medical or whatever. She might be a failure or whatever. But no, like there's more to jobs. There's more to life than doing the things that you're supposed to do.
Yeah, you know, this is exactly one of the reasons why I wanted to start this project, is because I'm I'm falling in love with the idea of people doing what they feel passionate about instead of just what maybe their parents want them to do. I'm not against the idea of doing something that pays the bills, for example. So yes, do that, but also try to do something that you love. And then if you do that, the chances are that you will, it's almost like I want to say I would guarantee it, but I can't guarantee it. But I know that the people that I've followed that have chosen to do the things that they loved, and they've ended up being happier in the end. And it wasn't about chasing the money and chasing, And what's interesting today as well is that I actually don't, I think the arts are, anybody's doing arts, they're doing well. Like literally the world of today in technology, everybody that's in arts, they're doing really, really well because they're getting a lot of exposure too, right?
Agreed.
Have you been pursuing any arts since you arrived in Korea?
Yeah, so I did a bit of photography in Korea, but I guess I would have thought that I would have done more of the photography side. But then, with this whole pandemic and like the list of restrictions that Korea is having right now, and especially like, that I'm in Daegu and the creative hub is in Seoul, it puts I guess an obstacle in that sense. So I've only done a few shoots. In terms of creativity, I'm actually what my direction is now is, okay, how can I use my creative skills and serve people? And like serve people in a mindful way. So I've actually got another Instagram account where I create like little illustrations and help people I guess get on with their day-to-day life. Am I allowed to swear here?
Of course you can. Yeah.
Okay,
Be yourself.
I just wanted to know. So basically, the Instagram account is called "Shit You Really Need to Hear" because
let me try. I'm gonna try to find it right now. Actually.
Yeah, it's called "Shit You Really Need to Hear" because there are so many shits that we need to hear in life, and people have not heard it.
Ah.
Yeah. So that's what I've been like pushing more. And I feel like right now at this very moment, it feels right. It feels like, it feels like I'm helping people and it fulfills me.
Yes.
And that's what is important.
So what kind of things do you think people need to hear? I just started following you, which is cool actually.
Thank you.
It's nice. You've got a lot of things on here. I really enjoy this. It's cool. What kind of things do you feel like people really need to hear, especially now in the pandemic as well?
Okay, let's just, I guess, refer back to, I guess, what we were discussing before. One of my favorite quotes is, "You need to know who you are so that you don't get told who you are."
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us get told what we should do.
Yes.
Get told what we need to be successful in life.
Someone else's definition of success as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think all of us get stuck into that hole of people's, I guess, people injecting you with these beliefs, these ideas, and people get into this deep hole and they're stuck. And I think that's what we all should learn, like, know who you really are.
Do you know what? I actually want to talk to you a little bit more about that because I think it's really cool. That how do you go about getting to know who you are?
That's a good question.
I think it's such a valid thing it's such a valid thing that you can't, if you don't know who you are, it's very hard to, you're vulnerable in so many ways that people will it's very easy to choose someone else. But the question is that how do you go about uncovering yourself and who you are?
That's a good question because I feel like I'm still uncovering myself.
Right.
I feel like there's an analogy about how you're like an onion and you slowly peel off the layers, right? Yeah. And I think I think all of us have to go through, I guess, a really bad situation, and it forces us to actually look inwardly. And like, what made me do that, what made me, like, I guess, look into myself and know who I really am, was actually a breakup. Because breakups. And I was like, when that breakup ended, I was like, how dare I disrespect myself, disrespect my values, disrespect, me. And I had to just like, I guess, I had to just like spend time alone. Right, spend time alone. And I'm reading so many books about just life, just about self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and all that. And I feel like every day is a learning day, and I think that's how you learn. I feel like there's no real answer to this, because I think everybody,
yeah,
I feel like everybody goes through different journeys, and everybody has a way of like learning about themselves. But the way I learned is through a breakup, and being like, okay, that was I guess that was hard. Okay, how can I learn? And I learned, like I said, through books, through podcasts. And yeah.
Some people might say that, I mean, I'm the same. I actually had a very interesting conversation with a friend very recently, where I said, I read certain books. Some books are in the, self-help books, just general books about knowledge and stuff like that. Everything to do with self-awareness. I always read. I try to read as much as I can. And they kind of laughed at me. They said, "Oh, why would you? I don't really like reading those self-help books." And I was like, it hit me as the first thing I thought to myself, like, actually, I got angry first. I was like, oh, why am I getting angry? I suppose maybe they don't enjoy it, they don't enjoy that. But then I started realizing that our parents didn't teach us everything. They couldn't have taught us everything. They only gave us the tools they thought we needed and they could give us. But there is so much more that's around us in the world, that the only way for you to learn is through self-help. You got to find someone, a mentor, or a book, podcast, whatever the format that you find comfortable learning and trying to apply and learn and apply and do, right? So I'm trying to encourage as many people as well to try to do things. I think one of the best ways to actually uncover things that you like and don't like is through actions and doing things, right? But the biggest thing that I'm seeing, especially from mostly people our generation, is the relationship they have with failure.
Yeah.
Right? Have you experienced that?
Yeah, many times. I think all of us have. But I think when it comes to failure, okay, first of all, I don't like calling it failure. I like calling it as a lesson. And I think the reason why people don't want to own up to failures is because nobody wants to hang their dirty laundry. You know what I'm saying? And I think when it comes to failure, I've come to realize is that failure is not a person, it's an event.
Oh, say that again one more time. Say that again. You have to say that again. One more time. One more time.
I said failure is not a person, it's an event. Oh no. Yeah, did I say that right? Yeah. Oh my God, let's do that again. Yeah.
Failure is not a person.
Failure is not a person, it's an event.
Right.
And I think most of us get stuck into the idea, oh my God, it's me. It's all my fault. I'm not good enough. I'm not this enough. I'm not that enough. No. Like, okay, my thought process is, okay, that didn't go the way that I wanted. Cool, Lynn. What are my solutions? What have I learned?
Yeah.
Because I think it's easy for us to play the victim.
Yes.
It's easier to blame someone else. Right? But I think it's just perspective. But people can't think that it's a failure. It's a lesson. It's a massive lesson of how you can grow more.
Yeah.
Right? And that's my perspective on failure.
Well, the other thing that I've also kind of, I've been paying a little bit of attention as well on some things, and one of those things has been like, I like to listen to people and what they want to do, like their goals. I often try to ask people like, what are your objectives? What are you trying to achieve? What's your goal in the next 5 years? What would you like to do in 10 years? Whatever it may be, just to see like if they have some sort of a direction that they're heading. And then I always try to ask, how are you going about it? Like, what are you doing to get there? And very often I'm beginning to realize that there's a big difference between what somebody wants and what they're really willing to do to get there. Because I think failing and falling down and picking yourself up and trying different things is part of that process, And one of the reasons why I think I'm still trying to, even from this project itself, I'm still trying to encourage myself almost on a day-to-day basis, just like, hey, you're not a tech guy, you don't know a lot about tech, and you will crash and fail, and some things will work and you'll make mistakes. But actually, that's okay. That's really okay to do. The most important thing is to be better. Try to be better today than you were yesterday.
Agreed.
In the little things, right? Agreed. So how have you handled failure before?
How have I handled failure before?
Yeah.
So in terms of just like, I guess, my big goals or relationships or
in whatever form it come to you. Because one of the things that I'm trying to be is to be open with the idea that it doesn't just have to come, failing is personally, like in your own personal life is one thing. Failing in your profession, in your professional life is another thing. But like, they all play part of the same thing, right? Yeah. They make us feel a certain way, right? So whichever way, how did you handle it?
Okay, let's just failure in general. Okay, so I like to talk to myself in third person a lot.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I like to talk to myself in third person because I feel like that third person is, I guess, my companion.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I feel like we've all got this inner voice, our gut instinct, whatever you want to call it. So, for example, like just before this, I was actually filming a YouTube video, and then I was like, oh my fucking god, like that lighting was so shit, like, oh my god, Lynn, you're so dumb, like, why did you not check beforehand? And then I'm like, no, Lynn, like, stop, okay, Lynn, just reposition it. Okay, Lynn, what can you do? Okay, I'm gonna have to film it. That sucks, but okay, whatever. Like, I think you actually, there's gonna be so many defeats in life, but you actually can't be defeated. You know what I'm saying? Like life's just gonna like keep punching you left, right, and center. But yeah, like you said, you got to get back up. You really do, because in terms of just like goals, if you're wanting to achieve something, I think most of us get caught in this idea whether do you actually really want it, or do you actually want like the idea of it, right? Because I think let's say, I guess going to the gym, right? You want to get abs, right? Do you actually really want to get abs, or do you just want the idea of getting abs, right? And it's like, if you really want it, you're gonna have to get back up in every failure, in every lesson, because like I said, like life's gonna throw punches at you, and you've got to just get back up. You can't be defeated. You really can't.
So one of the things that you just said that is, you said you talk to yourself as if you're talking to a third person, right? So I'm kind of connecting it in my head is with this idea of talking to yourself as if you're talking to somebody you care about. I saw this amazing quote today that I think it's I don't know if it is Stoics, I don't know where I saw it, but it was basically about how we care so much about other people's opinions, but we don't care enough about our own opinions of ourselves, right? And so when you talk to yourself how do you talk to yourself? You talk to yourself as if you're talking to somebody that you care about, or do you? So it's kind of like a self-judgment thing, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So how do you deal with talking to yourself?
I talk to myself in the most honest, brutal way. Sometimes I'm like, Lynn, you're so fucking stupid. Why did you do that? Like seriously, like I legit talk to myself in the most honest, brutal way. I'm like I said, I'm like, you're such a fucking idiot. Why'd you do that to yourself? Or like, that's how I pretty much talk.
Does that help you? Like, honestly, does that
Does
really help you?
it really does?
Does
Because
it?
yeah, for me anyway, it really does. And like I don't know. So for example, we might get paid, we might get assessed in at work, right?
Right.
And there was this fear that was arising. I'm like, oh my god, like what if I like fuck up? What if? I'm like, Lynn, stop, stop, stop saying that.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like when naturally just like we have such a negative bias that we just go negative.
Mm.
I feel like just talking to myself in the most honest and brutal way, it makes me just calm down. It really does.
I'm not sure if I would. Like, first of all, I feel like if something bad happens, immediately I know that I'm already down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if I weren't even harsher on myself, it's like just sinking myself deeper and deeper into the ground. Right? Now,
Interesting.
my approach doesn't work it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
So mine, for example, would be I take a step back.
Mm.
I kind of observe everything almost like I'm the third person in the whole, I'm watching everything. And then I stop dwelling immediately. Like my mind just goes, okay, so it was shit. It happened. Right. So how can we salvage this? What do we need to do now? Like almost immediately. But I kind of, it's taken me time to do that. Because I feel like a lot of people, I don't know if it's, and I know it works for you, but I feel like a lot of people don't have it in them to say kind things to themselves. So for example, when I said talking to myself as if I'm somebody that I care about, the first question I ask myself is, if this happened, if my best friends did this and they fucked up, for example, how would I talk to them? Right? I'm not sure if I would go and be like, oh, you're so dumb. Yet. Like I wouldn't be able to, just wouldn't be me, right? I wouldn't be able to do that. And so I try to approach it in a very kind of like loving way, and very quickly try to come up with a lesson from it.
Yeah.
You know?
I know what you mean, because funny enough, just like to me, I talk to myself like that. But then to my friends, when something bad happens to them, I'm like, okay, cool, it's okay.
Right.
Yeah, just like I talk so harshly about myself, but then when it comes to my friends, I'm like, it's okay, you've learned.
Yeah.
And like you said, you come from like a very empathetic, loving way. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So obviously you come from an Asian background, and I wanted to talk to you about external validation as well. Like, what has that been like for you in your experience? Because I mean, my family is also from Africa, so I get a fair amount of how people dangle like the carrot in front of you to show, oh, look what my son has done, and this is what my daughter is doing. And I know that kind of pleases the parent, and it makes them feel a little, it's some kind of way. But how have you, what's been your experience like with external validation?
To be honest, like with just external validation, like it didn't, I didn't really know about the idea of validation until like this year.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, so I'm 24 now. So from like 0 to 23, it's always been like, okay, like, you know, for example, pleasing my parents. Okay, like my parents want me to do something in the medical field, and I'll get the I'm so proud of you, look at my kid validation, right? And that subconsciously fed my mind that, you know, I'm doing something great. But in hindsight, am I really? You know, very questionable, right? And you know, from like, and then when at uni too, it's like, I'm not trying to brag here or anything, but it's like, you know, my course leaders and like my friends, they're like, oh my god, like Lynn, you're like, your work is so good, like I'm so proud of you, you're doing well, la 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 la. And we're subconsciously fed these external validations. Even people, just even like people saying, I am so proud of you, that's external validation, right? Because if you think about it, when you say I'm so proud of you, you're giving them validation that they're doing well. But actually, you should actually be saying you should be so proud of yourself. Because if you really think about it, they are the ones who put in the work. They're the ones who put in the sacrifices, right? Not anyone else, them. Right? And so I was very pretty much injected with external validation from 0 to 23. And it just scares me just saying that. But what really triggered me about validation was actually social media. Because I think with social media, there's this instant gratification, right? That you're doing well. And obviously, you know, social media is such like a big platform right now, right? And it's a way for exposure, whether that's, you know, through like whatever business you're doing, social media is the way forward. And obviously, as I'm pushing my shit you really need to hear account and all that, in my head I was like, oh my god, like why am I not getting enough likes? Why Lynn? Like why am I not good enough? Am I not doing great? Is my you know, work shit? Like, and all these like negative things. And like you said, you know, I had to take a step back. I'm like, okay, cool, Lynn, why do you actually need it? And I actually had to separate myself because I need it for the algorithm, right? You know the Instagram algorithm, the YouTube algorithm, the more likes you have, the more content interaction you have, the more the algorithm likes you, the more it pushes you to the audience that you want to reach, right? And I had to separate that, like actually needing it factually, but I actually don't need it to feed my ego. Because the only part, because if I feed my ego validation, it wants it and wants it and wants it, right? And once and now I'm training my mind to be like, okay, I need the likes to so that the algorithm can love me, and I don't need the likes so that my ego loves me, because our ego loves to seek validation, and we've been programmed to seek validation, right?
It makes me sad a little bit, because I often wondered like how many people out there have like crazy great idea, project or whatnot, but they're not doing it because they fear that if they posted it, not enough people will like it.
Yeah.
No, and especially like in the, I don't know, in almost anything, not just the art. And so I wonder if people are more focused on the product of something rather than the products of something, right? Because you've been making YouTube videos and you've been posting them, and your videos seem to have quite a lot of viewing, right? Does that feed your ego? Is that something that you're like, oh, if you posted a video tomorrow and the video got like six viewings versus another video that you've got that has over 300, over 600 views, then how would you feel about it?
See, it's funny that you say that I've got loads of views, because I don't think that's a lot of views.
You do.
I really don't think that's a lot of views. Like, that's so funny.
And the other question is that the question of like a lot. What does a lot mean? Because like you get people that have got 600 views on their videos, and then you have people that have got 4,000 views, and then someone else has like 1.5
billion views.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what's enough? What's the magic number that's gonna make you feel like it's enough?
That's the thing. Because I think one comparison is like thrown into the mix.
Yeah.
Right? We compare ourselves, to people like Jay Shetty, Lewis Holmes, and like, Matthew Hussey and all that, where they've had like a huge following. But that's a good question. Like, what is enough? Because I think, but like you said, we're constantly like chasing more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
But I really don't know. Like, what is good enough?
I think I mean, the reason I'm talking like this is because I went through it not so long ago. I was like, I'm gonna start posting videos. I'm gonna start doing things, and every time before I post anything, any of my content on YouTube and on Facebook, I get very nervous, and I have to question myself in some ways. I'm like, why are you getting nervous? Because you're not doing this for the instant gratification of like something magical happens today. You're doing this because you enjoy the process of doing this, and you enjoy spending time with people and talking to people about cool things and cool ideas and cool projects they're running. So the moment, but I have to switch that on, I remember I was talking to my sister not so long ago. She's got a project of her own, and she's producing like hair products, but very often whenever she posts, she was like, I don't understand, people are not liking my videos. And I'm just like, sis, don't worry about the likes, just post and keep posting and keep doing your thing. Just pay more attention to the craft that you're doing. That's the big thing, right? Yeah. I think we all fall victims of that. I think
we really do. And I think with the likes, I think what it allows us, for me anyway, I think it's like, okay, cool. This picture, this, I guess, video got quite a few likes. Okay, cool. I think people have to use it as, I guess, okay, that worked. Okay, that didn't work.
Yes.
I think we have to just see it as that.
But is it just that, or is it this idea of trying to compare ourselves to someone that we think is doing better than we are?
I think that plays a part too, and it's that whole idea where it's like, well, what is successful? It's successful 10 million views. It's successful, like,
because someone else has 100 million views after that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what you have to actually realize is, well, what you have to ask yourself is like, okay, why am I doing this? Okay, I'm doing this to make an impact to the world. Okay, it might not be the same as Jay Shetty, but that's Jay Shetty.
Yes, it has nothing to do with you.
And it has nothing to, yeah, exactly. It has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
If you can make an impact of 10 people, then cool. Perfect.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So the other project that you started out with, Shit You Need to Hear, why did you start that project?
Why? It's because I started it during the little lockdown. At the very beginning, in Korea, everything was a bit like, I guess, hectic. Everything was like shutting down, like hagwons were going online and all that. And I was like, this is like my space. How can I help people? And how can I guess even like help myself? Because I feel like everybody's probably going through the same thing that I'm going through. How can I help people? How can I serve? And I think that's how and why I started Shit You Really Need to Hear.
Yeah.
Because like I said, like we're all in this together. We really are. And that's why I started this project, this account, and hopefully I can use that as, I guess, a platform for my creativity. But yeah, that's why I started it.
And I like it because I think secretly I wished I'd started doing something during the. Do you know how much time I wasted during the pandemic? Like, especially with the idea of being locked down and not doing anything and just sitting there. And it was great. But very often I think back and I'm like, there was a lot of time I had a lot of time in my hand. And I used to say, I don't have enough time. If only I had time. And every time I hear that someone started something or a project in there, I always say, congratulations, well done. Well done. That was the best with keeping busy. It can save us from going absolutely mental, right?
Yeah.
And your photography, the photography stuff that you're doing, what kind of photography do you do?
I do fashion photography.
Fashion photography. That's why I think I was looking at your YouTube and it's like becoming a model. I thought you had chosen to become a model.
No. No. Yeah. No, it's fashion photography. Yeah. It's what I specified in during university. And that's the kind of photography that I do love to make and enjoy to do. But yeah, fashion photography is what I'm passionate about.
How do you go about finding project or people to shoot?
So with my fashion photography, I don't know if you've looked at it, but it's basically based on like stories. Because I feel like it's an art piece, right? Like there's a, like all my photographs has a meaning to it. So for example, one of the shoots that I did was like three different moods, and it's called the first what is it called again? Oh, the love, the acquaintance. And it's about just like different relationships I've had, but I created it in a, I guess, photographic way. That's how it all stems down to, like, you know, having a story behind my photography. And then after that, it's like, okay, cool, like who's the perfect girl, who's the perfect guy that can, I guess, make my vision in my head, like, you know, like come into life kind of deal. And I look into like model agencies, and I'm like, okay, cool, this girl might be perfect, this girl isn't perfect, not perfect, but I guess doesn't fit the role. And then after I've done that, I find like a team. I'm like, okay, cool, you know, a stylist, a makeup artist. Once that's done, I'll find a location that I've envisioned in my head, and then I shoot. Yeah.
Has that been a bit tricky dealing with like trying to set all this up with, I mean, I don't know how great your Korean is, but do you find it challenging to be able to organize all of these things with language being?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so I did a shoot with this guy and he's Korean, and he barely spoke any English. And obviously, like, you know, I'm trying to direct this guy, right? So obviously I'm like, oh, you know, I try to tell him, oh, you know, pretend that like your girlfriend just broke up with you and you feel so sad and emotionless. And I had to like just Google translate it. And I was like, read. And then he was like, okay, Nick. I was like, okay. But it's so hard. And it's so hard to try and find a team too. Because obviously, I didn't have a stylist. I didn't have a makeup artist. It was all on me. And
you do everything by yourself?
I did that shoot everything by myself because obviously coming into a different country.
Yes.
Coming to a creative scene where I'm legit new, coming to a country where I don't even know the language. Like my Korean, it's very minimal. But like, yeah, it's been difficult for sure. And I know as well, like, you know, there's been model agencies that I've been in contact with, but you know, with the lockdown in Korea right now, in Seoul especially, it's a little bit tricky. But you know, that's okay. I've made solutions, if you want to call it that. And the solution to it is for me to move to Seoul.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Find a solution, move it to Seoul. Yeah.
So get closer to the business. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
When are you
Yeah.
planning to do that?
When?
Yes.
I'm doing it in March. So I'm moving in March. That's the plan. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I literally was about to ask you, so given the fact that you've done all this stuff in Daegu, what's next for you? What's coming up next for you? But I'm guessing the move to Seoul.
Yeah, move to Seoul
Yeah.
and explore the creative scene there,
Mm.
and keep pushing, shit you really need to hear. Because right now that's what fulfills me right now, just like
Yeah.
serving people and making an impact to the world. Trying.
And where does that information come from? When you post all the pictures and content for shit you need to hear, where is it coming from?
It's coming from, I guess, reflections on myself, because I don't know about you, but I journal, because I think
Good.
Yeah, I journal, just be like, okay, Lynn, like, why are you feeling this way? Okay, why did that particular event, particular person, whatever, like trigger you? And I always ask myself, like, why? And then I guess my answers to myself, like my content comes from that, like answers to myself. And then also from the books that I read, and like, from the things that I hear. That's where I pretty much get my content from.
That's good. I can't wait to see where it all takes you. I think you've done an amazing job trying to keep your artistry alive. Yeah. You've got a story to tell. Thank you.
And so do you. Like, sorry, what did you say? Sorry.
No, go on.
And I said, and same as well for you. Like, I feel like, you've created, like, I guess, a good platform for people like me, for people like you to just talk.
Yes.
It's a great vision to have. It's a
great. It comes to me in pieces. I think it comes to me in pieces, and then I put the pieces together in my head, and then I share them with people, and then I try to see people's reactions, and sometimes they think I'm crazy, and sometimes they think it's great, and I'm just like, I think this is gonna work. But the idea really is that inviting a different groups of, there's a variety of people with things that they're doing, and especially things that bring them a lot of happiness. I think trying to get people to pursue their own passion projects because they love it, not necessarily because they're making a lot of money out of it, but because they love it, and trying to promote that as an idea, and then to really make that impact, to show people that you can do it too. Very often I think whenever when I first started thinking about this project, I would think, why would anybody like me start something like this when you have someone like Jay Shetty and Tom Billio and all these other people that are super famous and they've done this. And then I started thinking to myself, wait, hold on a second. Now you're creating excuses for yourself. Now you're giving yourself reasons why you shouldn't do something. And then I started to wonder, I can't be alone in that. I'm sure there are plenty of people who they stop themselves from pursuing whatever creative idea they have because they think they are not big enough or famous enough or resourceful enough to do it. And I said, well, no, actually, I am just as guilty for quashing my own dreams, my own ideas. I should put myself out there as well. So, and I'm doing it one week, one person at a time. And it's amazing because in the process, I'm also learning so much from different people. Like a few weeks ago, I spoke to a guy who has recently written a book about meditation, and just listening to him talk about, what meditation means to him and what he goes through. And then he wrote a book with 101 ways to meditate. And it's incredible. It's just like, this is the kind of information and knowledge that I didn't have, but just by talking to them, I managed to learn so much too.
And I think you've got to realize too that you're the only person accountable for your own dreams. Right. And I think it's also important to realize that these these people like Jay Shetty, like Tom Billu, Matthew Hussey, they were all the same. They were like us. They all started from zero, and then they, have put so much work, 10 years worth of, failures, defeats, and all that, but they kept going and going and going. And I think it should be like, yeah.
I agree with you 100%. Everybody starts with 0 followers.
Yeah.
Everybody starts with 0 likes. Everybody starts with 0 anything, just them putting their neck out there. And I think secretly, I have this thing where in my head where I'm like, I will talk to as many people as I can, and I'm sure everybody will do great. But I always say to myself, imagine being the person that first talked to Lynn, and then Lynn went and became this super artist out there, and like she's doing photography and she's taking pictures of like celebrities and the president of this country, and I'm like, I did it. I talked to her first. I really enjoyed it like that. That's my little guilty pleasure, to be honest. I see that in my head. I'm like, I think that'll be really cool.
Yeah,
I think that'll be really, really cool. And
you should be so proud of yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like see, that is key too, to constantly tell yourself, I'm proud of you, I'm proud of me, Mm-hmm. It takes the work. You're the only person who's doing the work. And you can't always wait. What was it? I think I saw this somewhere. You can't always wait for others to tell you, well done.
Yeah.
You have to tell yourself that. You should be the first person to tell yourself that, So yeah, I'm grateful. Thank you so much for taking your time.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you for asking me. It's been a pleasure just having this little conversation.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it too.